How's everyone doing? Thanks for joining me on my small engine repair channel. Today's project is on this older two-cycle snow thrower, Toro Snowmaster 20, and I just picked it up in conjunction with this guy over here. I didn't pay that much, but we're going to see what it needs to get it back in service, and maybe we can flip this one for a few bucks. Alright guys, so yeah, I got this little thing. When I said flip it for a few bucks, I truly and utterly mean a few bucks. This thing is probably from the early 80s, as this thing is from 1979. So they're not going to go for a lot of money. Nobody really wants to pay that kind of money for these older machines. This thing is super lightweight. It is probably lighter than a lawnmower. It's very, very simple. And it has an engine that has a belt that's attached to this sort of drum. On the drum's got a couple paddles, and those paddles will scrape against the ground, scrape the snow up and out and through these deflector chutes here. This chute does actually rotate back and forth. So unfortunately, one of the plastic vanes is busted. I'm not sure if there is a fix for that. I'm thinking not, but you know, I mean, for what it is, if I can get it running for next to nothing, then I'll sell it as is. I'm not gonna obviously put any money into this thing to try and get it running. So if it needs anything at all, I probably will just scrap it. Maybe save a few parts off it, although I don't know really what is a whole lot salvageable on these things, to be honest. Maybe the engine runs, we'll see. But first thing I'm going to try and do is a function test. This takes 2-stroke fuel. I would imagine if there is any fuel in the thing, it's probably not going to be in really good shape. And I see nothing, bone dry, which maybe is not a bad thing. I might throw a little bit of 2-stroke fuel in there and see if we can get this thing running. Maybe we get lucky and maybe it just runs as is. The guy did say it's been sitting for a year or so, but it did run, of course, the last time he put it away. So, story of my life. It does have compression. So a very basic primer system, ignition switch, choke, no electric start on this one. So let me get some fuel put into it and see if we get lucky. All right, got some fuel in there. I will turn the ignition on, pull the choke. I hear something going on, and that should be it. We'll see what happens. All right, we're getting nothing. So I guess the next thing we're gonna have to take a look at is it getting spark? So we're gonna have to flip it up here, try and get access to the carburetor and the spark plug. All right, so the carburetor is up and underneath here, guys. You can see it through this little vented area. It also has some low and high speed screws, just kind of like a 2-cycle carburetor on your trimmer, for instance, or your leaf blower or something like that. So I'm going to see what these are set at first, and maybe they're just set too far in and it's just not getting any fuel. So we'll check that out next. All right, so usually I like to start with 1.5 turns out. So I'm gonna go in. Here's a half, 1. So it's about 1.25. So I would say that's probably about right. So there's not much of an issue there. High speed one. That one's only out a half. So half, 1, 1.5. So try to adjust that. We'll see what happens. Don't really feel anything. I don't know. We'll see. Nothing. So next thing I want to make sure is I do kind of smell fuel. I want to see if it's getting any spark. So to get access to the spark plug, you're gonna have to take some of these panels off here. So we'll get to doing that next. I'm gonna see if I can just access the spark plug without taking the whole thing apart, which I should be able to here. Yeah, spark plug looks brand new, so I'm gonna hook up a spark tester and see if we get some spark. Alright, so if we've got spark, we should be able to see it right in there. I might have to turn off some lights. So definitely spark. Now, alright, so next thing I'm going to try and do is see if I can get this spark plug out. And it doesn't seem wet at all, this spark plug. Looks like a brand new NGK spark plug, so someone tried that. It's got no time on it, basically. Alright, so to me it seems like it's getting zero fuel. But first thing I want to do is test to see if there is actually spark coming from the spark plug. I know we got spark coming from the ignition, but what we'll do is just ground this out and we'll try and watch for spark right here. So I'm just grounding this out to the motor, and we're just going to try and zoom you in a little bit further. You can tell me if we got any spark coming from there. Alright, I don't know if you can see that in the video, but definitely getting some spark. So what I'm going to try then is, if it's not getting fuel, if it's not getting any fuel, I'm going to just try and spray some carb spray down in there. I know there's no oil in it, guys. That little bit of carb spray, when it running off of that, is not going to create any issues. to run it for 2 seconds just to see if there's, you know, decent enough compression and spark to run this thing before I dive into the carburetor. Now these things have a diaphragm in the carburetor, and my experience with diaphragm carburetors is that those diaphragms just get all hard and crusty. So if it just needs a diaphragm kit, that's only about $5 or $10. Maybe I'll put that into it, but otherwise, if we can't get this thing started after that, it might be destined for the heap. So choke's on, ignition's on. Alright guys, so this thing actually runs pretty decent. Now that I got the carburetor all tuned up. Did blow a little bit of snow here. It's, I mean, it's not you know, made for 4 inches of snow, which is out there, but you know, a couple inches of snow actually wouldn't be too bad of a little machine to use. But as you saw when I tried to turn it off, the ignition switch did not ground it out. So I will, you know, take some of these plastics off here, and we'll take a look at this ignition switch and see if we can't figure out. It's not like it's stuck in there. It's not come. Oh, there it is. It's coming out. But it's definitely not switching it to the off position. So I had to choke it to get it to shut off. So we'll try and see if we can figure out how to fix that up. All right, so to get this panel off, guys, you got to take the 2 bolts off on either side there if they're not missing, which we've already done. And this person's put an extra bolt here for this plastic because I think the bolt on the side was missing. This guy's got to come out. This guy's got to come out with whatever doohickey they got rigged up there. And then there's usually one here and one more right here. All right, now this panel should lift out. Now there's the pull cords that we have to worry about. So try and get that up and out of the way. And then you've got the primer bulb as well, and then the wire for the switch. All right, so there we go. Slide that back, and we're going to take a look at the switch, and I see the problem already. So, if you look at the back side of the switch, everything is connected, all is well there. You take a look at those 2 wires that go down. There's one black one and one green one. One goes to the ignition coil, that's the green wire. The black one has a connector on the end that's supposed to be connected to ground, and it's not connected to anything. You can see here right at the end of my shadow. So somebody has been in here, disconnected the ground for the ignition switch. So that looks like it's going to be a pretty simple fix. Now I just got to figure out where to attach that ground wire to, because I'm not 100% certain where that goes to. Alright, so let me show you where I connected that wire. If you take a look down in here, just next to the green wire, that black wire, there's a bolt that I'm pointing the light right at. So that bolt is grounded out to that shroud around the engine. And now, with everything hooked up, this thing should turn on and off with that ignition switch. So I'm going to just put it all back together, and we'll do one last test before my battery dies here, and see how we did. Alright, so let's see if our ignition fix was successful. So ignition switch is in the on position. Couple shots of the primer, chokes on. That's all it was, guys. It's easy as that. So I think this thing's ready to go. It'll you know, serve somebody well, you know, for $50 or something like that. It'd be a good little machine for somebody. So thanks for watching. Hopefully it was informative. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing. Helps me out on the channel. And until our next project, guys, take care.